This is Charles Haley. You're listening to Nothing But Niners.
This is Kyle Juszczyk, and you're listening to Nothing But Niners.
So now they've got to start from deep in their end of the field, and Garrison Hearst takes advantage of it. He takes the handoff, kicks to his right, gets to the 20. He's in the 30, needs to cut in. He comes back up the right sideline, breaks a hard tackle, comes down to the 30. He's down to the 20. He's down to the 10. He's down to the 5. He's into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown! 49ers! 96-yard run from scrimmage. Garrison Hearst breaking tackle after tackle, swings down the sideline. Throws off bodies like clothes after a marathon.
Young, back to throw. In trouble, he's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again, to the 35, cuts back at the 30, to the 20, the 50, the 10. He died. Touchdown, 49ers.
Third down, Alex takes the snap. Alex looking, got it, post, and it's good. Touchdown! Touchdown, 49ers!
It is second down. Ryan takes the snap, throws the slant to the left side. It's Russell intercepted. The 49ers pick it, and Navarro Bowman is redemption. Navarro Bowman running it all the way for the touchdown. No greater redemption.
The San Francisco 49ers. We can do whatever we want.
Click, click, boom. What is going on, faithfuls? It's your boys, Mike and Tony from the Nothing But Niners crew. Guys, we are back. We are live for the first time in a long time on a wonderful Tuesday night, guys. I know the Niners are away, but the Cats are going to play, and we are those Cats. Tony, what's going on, big dog? How you feeling over there, man?
Nah, what's going on with you? I'm all right. Just, hanging out, long day at work, and here to talk some 49ers football.
Yeah, it's been a lot going on. We haven't heard the voice of our resident GM. I'm going to run through these formalities, and we're going to get right into it. I'm here to listen to you talk today. So if this is you guys' first time here, we want to thank you all for checking us out. Make sure you guys give us a follow on some of our social media platforms. We are on Facebook and Twitch. Right now, we are on our old 49ers Gab Facebook page. Facebook recently did some updates about pages that you were allowed to post to. We just reapplied and met the criteria, so we will be adding that throughout the week. So make sure you guys are there. That Facebook page is Nothing But Niners. That's spelled all the way out, along with the Twitch page. We also have Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. Those handles are Nothing But 9ERS. Again, that is Nothing But 9ERS. And then, guys, we also have the YouTube page. That is youtube.com/Nothing But Niners. If it's your first time here, guys, and you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, hit that like button. All right. Make sure you tell somebody else about us as well. And then head on over to the Patreon page, guys, patreon.com/NB9ERS. Okay. I'm going to leave this scrolling across the bottom right there. That wasn't me. That was Tony, y'all. I promise that was Tony. But there. Listen, Tony, man. There's so much to talk about right now. Let's take a journey into time. Let's go back. Let's hop in our little time machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
The San Francisco 49ers were about a second away from really, possibly, maybe trading for Justin Jefferson. Do you think that's real? You think that's true?
I don't know. I mean, I like it if it is true that they're trying to keep adding the pieces to the puzzle. These guys are go big or go home. They want to try to make they're aggressive. They're making phone calls. What are the chances of Minnesota even answering the phone call? But shit, they still made the call. They answered and they got shot down. But the intent was there, and that's what you like. That's what you want to see.
Now, you said you like it. You like what? That the Niners were trying? You like that they were going after Jefferson in particular? Like, what exactly is it that you liked about that?
I just like that they're always looking to make the roster better. I never thought – there's no chance in hell that Minnesota would trade Jefferson. But the intent is what I like. They're not just standing pat and just, like, settling for what they have. They're looking to make the team better. And it's not like a knock against anybody, but they're looking to make the team better across the board. So, the intent is what I like.
I guess the move didn't make sense to me because I understand, like, We got a quarterback that I think the Niners believe in. I think the front office believes in this guy. And if you're going after a guy like Justin Jefferson, you got to believe in him. But wouldn't that mean that there's got to be a change in the philosophy of how this offense is run, Tony? I mean, you're going out to get – if the Niners were serious about acquiring Justin Jefferson, even though it got shot down immediately, if their intentions were sincere, wouldn't that suggest that there had to have been some sort of philosophical change about the way this offense is working?
I mean, yeah, I for one think there could be some slight shift in the philosophy of Kyle's offense with more of the look of the Atlanta Falcons type offense and with Julio Jones there. And I think, Kyle, if the deal was done, which it wasn't, and I never thought in one hell it would be done, one chance it would be done, but you're adding a playmaker like that, and you would shift the philosophy a little bit of attacking downfield a little bit more. So it shows that Kyle believes in Brock. John Lynch believes in Brock. And, you're adding that big piece at the wide receiver position. And, having somebody like that is going to open up even more underneath. So because of the threat that he is. So, I mean, I, for one, do think there is going to be a slight shift in the philosophy for this offense in this year, but, we'll see.
So the Vikings traded away Kirk Cousins. Let's just play this out. Let's just say that this was a real offer. We aren't accepting calls, but you have the opportunity that once I say hello, you say what your best offer is to make it happen. You, as our resident GM, I want you to be honest now. Now, they traded away Kirk Cousins before the draft, or they let him go. So it was clear they were going to be drafting a quarterback, right? So you got a rookie quarterback coming in here. I am not entertaining offers. However, once I answer this phone, you have my attention. Tony, our resident GM, make this offer. Did I look the wrong way? Oh, shit, I looked the wrong way. Make this offer. I'm so used to being on the other side with Wayne now. Make this offer. Come on, blow my socks off. Phone rings. What are you offering to get Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the NFL right now?
Ayuk, it would be Ayuk and multiple picks and potentially another player at another position. I mean, I don't know who it would be. I don't know. I don't know where. I mean, you're talking massive amount of picks and players. So I mean, you're talking a potential. I don't know. Mike, I really don't know what it would cost because I never thought it would happen. I never thought that Minnesota would move him. I mean,
right.
So you can't get serious over it. You can't make like a mock like a serious offer when the team ain't going to budge. The Niners are doing their due diligence, or could it be, hey, the Niners sending a shot across the bow of Brandon Ayuk saying, listen, you don't want to come in for our number. We'll go get somebody who we think potentially could be better and negotiate his number. Could it be something like that? We don't know, but a phone call's a phone call. They did their due diligence. They got shot down. I don't even think John Lynch had an offer in line, to be honest with you. I just think he just called.
Is it possible that this was more of like a homework assignment, like to figure out what the market is going to be? Because Justin Jefferson got his deal shortly after that. And so the Niners, knowing that they're in negotiation mode with a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, you think that they wanted to say, hey, that's the top. So now we know what our range is and see if we can maybe afford Ayuk. Maybe it wasn't really that kind of call about acquiring Justin Jefferson, just maybe trying to feel him out and say, hey, what's it looking like right now?
I mean, yeah, it's a strong possibility that they just tried to get a number of where the Vikings are with Jefferson and where they feel they should come in for Ayuk. That could be it too.
Okay. All right. So fast forward, we hear this whole thing about, all right, the Niners try to acquire Justin Jefferson before the trade. Minnesota's like, nah, they hang up the phone on the 49ers, right? And then they draft a wide receiver in the first round. What does this mean to you, Tony, as the GM? Are you really trying to tell Ayuk and or Debo, or maybe at that time Jawan Jennings, who hadn't had his deal, hey, we don't need you? What was the plan? What is the plan here? And we know that the Niners, you know, my example is going to be Aaron Banks. Everyone thought that, oh, this guy's a waste in the second round. This guy's a turd. He couldn't get in anywhere on the field. And the truth of the matter is they were waiting for Lincoln Tomlinson to move on and then plug him in, right? So what's happening here? Is this a play for next year with Pearsall going in the first round? Or is this maybe something that could still shake out, barring an injury or two in the preseason?
I think it's just the way the 49ers operate. If you look at their past and the way they operate, they usually attack the positions that they know that they're going to have free agents coming up, right? So this year they went Pearsall and they went oh God, I'm drawing a brain. Green.
Cowing.
What's that? No.
Okay.
The corner. Green.
Ricardo. Damn it.
Ricardo Green, right?
Yeah.
All right. So they went wide receiver and they went cornerback. Let's fast forward to 2025. Both corners are free agents. Wide receiver decision would have to be made between one's going to be a free agent and the other one would have a decision would have to be made on. So what they did is they covered themselves. They have
Renardo Green.
Renardo Green, yeah. They have a year to develop these guys and see exactly where they're at, and that's how they operate. The Niners usually attack the draft to fulfill and address 2025 free agent class. So with that being said, I do think, again, this is saying we drafted a guy who is probably the best wide receiver for what Kyle Shanahan wants in the 2024 draft class. Why do I say that? A, he's a phenomenal route runner. B, he's a high IQ guy. He's a hard work ethic guy. He's first one in, last one out. He's all what Kyle Shanahan looks for in a wide receiver. Shifty, great hands, knows how to run the routes. So it's somebody where if there is a injury, Kyle feels that he could slide right in. It is an upgrade on the depth of the 49ers wide receiver core. I will take Pearsall over McLeod any day of the week. That's just me as far as the offensive game plan. So they upgraded the depth there. They upgraded the depth in the cornerback room with their 2 first picks. Never mind free agency, but with their 2 first picks, they updated the cornerback and the wide receiver depth. Now, as far as it's saying, well, hey, look, Debo, hey, look, Ayuk, we have potentially 1-year replacements on this roster. Is that factual? We don't know. Is it a strong possibility? You're damn right it is a strong possibility because Debo's number next year is ridiculous. And Ayuk's got to understand where he is with this team and what his market is to this team, not to the NFL. What his value is to the 49ers. He needs to understand that. I understand this guy's getting paid 30. I understand this guy wants this. This guy got that. I feel the Niners have their number, and the Niners aren't budging from that number. That's just the way I see it. I'm not saying I don't want Ayuk on his team. I like Brandon Ayuk. I like what he brings to the team. He's a great work ethic. He blocks downfield. He does everything, again, what Kyle Shanahan wants. But, literally, I just woke up to jump down here on the show, so I didn't really look at anything. But off the top of my head, I believe this team's approximately $50 million over the salary cap next year, the way it stands.
I'll take a look at that in a second. I want to go back to something you said that the team, likes to try to get ahead. We got a guy with 1-year experience. So at the time of the draft, the 49ers wide receiver free agents would have been in 2025, Brandon Ayuk, Chris Conley, Tay Martin, I believe Trent Taylor signed before the draft.
Mm-hmm. And
Jennings had the tender, but he hadn't signed yet. But yes, and then Jennings, he would have been on that list as well. And then the corners that would have been on that list would have been Javarius Ward, Isaac Yiadom. No, wait a second. Yiadom, Yasin, all those guys didn't come free agency is after the draft.
No,
Yeah.
Yiadom was signed before the draft.
Oh, he was signed before the draft. Okay, so it would have been Ward.
Yasin was signed after.
There you go. Okay, so it was Ward, Yiadom, Thomas, Ambry Thomas, Keemon Hall, Chase Lucas, and Diamador Lenore. Those are the guys that are pending free agency in 2025. So you're saying that those guys should have their heads on a swivel.
Yes. Not only a swivel, I think it protects the 49ers in case they can't afford what they want. You understand what I'm trying to say? You could have Lenore come out and say, I want this, I'm not budging. You could have Mooney Ward come out and say, I want this, they can't budget. This is the problem with the 49ers. And I know it's going to lead into something going into with this show going in the latter part about discussing about somebody else potentially with money. They can't keep doing this. And they can't keep pushing money away because it's going to bite them in the ass in the long run. It's starting now. You know, they made the first move with Eric Armstead. They moved on from him. Why? Because they pushed everything back, and his number got so damn high they couldn't do it. So they took the hit this year, got a little relief. Then they got a little hit next year.
Well, they got a lot of relief somewhere because that number was negative 51 million a couple of weeks or months ago. Mm-hmm. Right now, that number is only here. Listen, we say only, right? It's only negative 23 million. Right now. So somewhere down the line, they saved a boatload of money. And that could be the post-June 1st designation for
it's Eric
Armstead, maybe.
What's his name is restructure, I think. Which is the way they maneuvered the money in McCaffrey's deal.
McCaffrey as well, yes.
Money.
Yeah.
So how much are we over?
23 million right now. 23.1.
They're over $23.1 million right now. Right now. Okay. It's you don't have your quarterback under he's under a contract, but his extension is not in place, right? So what they could do is you bring in Brock, you sit him down, you sign that extension with him. And like most 49er contracts, they maneuver the money where the first year they save money. So if Brock's on the books for $1 million, they'll probably keep him at $1 million because you can't go much lower than that. But for example, let's just say a Debo, they decide to keep Debo and extend him 2 years or extend them a year. You know what I'm saying? They'll lower that 20. I think his cap number is like 28 million off the top of my head.
Debo's go ahead.
They're going to take that 28 million and slash it down to 14 and move that money either back or they're going to move it into a bonus where it's allocated over X amount of years. So there was someone posted something on Twitter, I believe it was John Chapman, where in 2026, the 49ers will have $55 million in cap space. In dead cap space, in dead cap hits, not space. How could you?
What year?
I think he said 2026. It's on his timeline somewhere.
I got it right here. 2026, the dead cap space for the 49ers doesn't exist right now. Again, that was probably with the restructure. That was probably before the restructures and all that stuff and the post June 1st thing. Yeah. Because right now, in 2026, there's no dead cap.
Look at 2025. Maybe it was 2025.
All right, let me go backwards to 2025.
I remember
2025, it's 14.8, so just under 15 million.
And that's in dead cap. That's if they don't move on from anybody. So if they move on from people, that's where the dead cap starts increasing.
Yeah.
So if you move on from Debo, bang, that goes up. If you move on, let's say from Trent, that goes up. Kittle, that goes up. And it could be up to $55 million. Now, that's an issue.
Or is it? So that's what I actually wanted to talk to you about. So Dom had a comment here. I skipped it when I was clicking all the comments. And you guys keep the comments coming. We want to get you guys involved in the show as well, right? Dom says the salary cap is fake, guys. Now, just 3 seasons ago, we were negative 20-something million in cap space. They made a couple of moves, couple of restructures. They kicked some money down the road. We talked about it here. And then all of a sudden, we were the second highest at $38 million in cap space that same season. I mean, you keep saying they can't do it. They got to stop. But I don't see a reason why they got to stop. It's working.
Well, the problem now is you're going to be talking about $40 to $50 million to one player. That's why it's got to stop. because that wiggle room of being on a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal, you don't have that no more. You saw what happened to teams like Seattle when they had to pay Russell Wilson. Bang, that team fell apart.
Legion of Boom, gone.
That
Defensive
team
line,
fell apart
gone.
in a matter of a season, like gone. Like that's it. It was over. But they don't have the ability to do those tinkerings and move money because 2024, 2023, 2022, Brock Purdy, the most he made was $1 million. You could move shit all around to cover $1 million is nothing to this team. But the problem is you gotta pay this guy. Now, this is going to be the backbreaker of this team, I think, and I think they're going to have to move on probably from 2, potentially maybe more to keep Purdy here. Obviously, it's not going to be next year. I think it'll probably be more like the 2026, 2027 season. I think they're going to get by with 2024. I also think 2025, they might be able to squeak. But they're going to have to move on from one player, I think, in 2025. And I think we all could say it would be Deebo Samuel for what his number is. And
this is hate. I don't understand hate. It's crazy.
I disagree with that because I think you're going to get a monster this year in Deebo Samuel because he wants another contract. It's not going to be from the Niners. He wants another payday. So I think you're going to see him come out blazing this year. If he could stay healthy, I think you could see Deebo have a monster year. And the only way they would trade anybody as far as like Deebo or Ayuk is if potentially something goes wrong this year and the 49ers aren't, whatever happens, like a negative thing happens and they just start unloading at the deadline, meaning like one of those two guys. But I don't see it happening, but I just think we're going to get the best Deebo this year because he wants a payday. And his contract year last time, he had his career year. We paid him. Whatever happened. But I think we're going to get a monster in Deebo this year. And it's only going to help this team.
So I like nappy hair Deebo showing up. That probably I shouldn't have said that, but I like no cut, no earrings at the podium, looking a little sweaty and, tired from practice Deebo. I like that version of Deebo showing up this time of year because we haven't really seen that in a while, right? But I was watching Locked On with BD Peacock and Eric Crocker. And Eric Crocker pointed something out, and I haven't seen it. I haven't watched any of the players running routes and shorts and all that stuff and catching passes and all that. But he pointed something out, and he did say, let me be clear with his message here. He said it multiple times. He said not making a big deal out of it because it was one play. He said, but all the receivers are lined up. They're running this little short 5-yard route. They turn, boom, they catch the ball, and they sprint to finish the play, and the next one goes boom, he catches it, sprint to finish the play. They said when it was Deebo, he said first of all he took like 8 steps to run a 5-yard route, like choppy footwork. It didn't look good, but he said after he caught the ball, he didn't finish the play. He tossed the ball back to the person that threw it to him and then walked to the sideline. So he was kind of talking about like you play how you practice and blah 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 blah. And he was like, while he's there and he is participating, maybe he's still half-assing it out there, and maybe he's not. I mean, we've all talked about it. We've all seen Deebo makes a big play, and he's on the sideline for the next 2 plays, right? And it's like, dude, like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen that. Or if they do leave him on the field, he's running a very short stop route, like 2 yards, and just standing near the line of scrimmage. He's not really going anywhere. He doesn't even attempt to block. So I don't know. Hopefully we do see a motivated Deebo, and I think he should be playing for a contract, whether that be with the 49ers or someone else. He should be putting on display all of his attributes and looking to get better. But hopefully you're right. Hopefully that does end up happening. And then you wanted to know what his cap hit was, right?
Yeah.
What year were you wondering?
Next year.
About. Next year, Deebo's cap hit is, come on. All right, here we go. So 2025, his base salary is $16 million. Cap hit is 24. This year, his cap hit, 2024, is $28 million, 28.6. That's this year. Next year, it goes down to 24.
And what's his dead cap?
This year?
Next year.
42. Oh, next year it's only 15. This year is 42.7 to almost 43 million.
That's what
this is the expensive year for Deebo right here. This is the year that it's expensive. Next year it's only 15 million dead cap and 24 million of a cap hit.
And another thing, like, I just don't understand what they're doing, is meaning the Niners, is all these guys that they're signing, all these contracts that they're signing them to like a 2-year deal. Like, for example, like Leonard Floyd, off the top of my head. They signed him on paper to a 2-year deal, but it's essentially really a 4-year deal with 2 voidable years, just to spread money
they do
out.
that to spread out the signing bonuses and all that stuff. Yeah, but the Niners have been doing that for a long time.
Not like this, no. They've never done this before. It's new. And how I know it's new is it's hitting them in their compensation now, because the league is factoring in the way they negotiate their contracts, and they're seeing how they're putting the voidable years in. And when a player moves on from San Francisco and signs to another team, they take that into consideration, how they spread the money out, because your compensation values are usually when who you lose to who you sign, right? So essentially, like, the Niners are showing, like, yeah, they've lost Eric Armstead to, we'll just say hypothetically, 4 years to $80 million to Jacksonville, but they only signed 2-year, $20 million deal to Leonard Floyd. So what they're counting is not the 2-year, $20 million. They're taking that and they're adding those voidable years as salary, because it's still getting paid to him even though he's not on the team. So now that teeters the return and the compensation for the
but it
subtraction.
Doesn't, because that $20 million is over the extra 3 years, the 26, 27, and 28. If you add up all his numbers, it doesn't equal the 20 in the first 2 seasons. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like it's 2 years, 20 million, and then extra millions after those first 2 years. That's not how the numbers work out here. I'm looking at a cap hit 13 million the first year. That's this year. Then it's only 10 million the following year. Then it's down to 6. Then it's down to 2. Then it's down to 2. That's how you get to your.
Essentially, it's a 2-year, $23 million deal, and then it's 622. So that 622 is another $10 million.
Right.
That's being added into the sum, and it screws up the return on their compensation picks. So
but aren't those considered option years for the 49ers? Because they're voidable, but they could exercise them, can't they? Like, he's still under contract for the team.
That's the difference. They're not team options. They're void years. The void years, you need to stretch money across to keep those numbers where they want them in the 2 years that he's under phantom contract with the 49ers. So essentially, that deal could be more than what they're saying, and they're using the void years to stretch that money out, whether it's for signing bonus, whether it's for whatever. But that's how they're moving it to keep it more feasible for them and affordable. Because what they're doing, what the 49ers do is they do this. They come in, they push money, they stretch money out as far as they could. A 2-year deal gets sent to a 4-year deal. A 3-year deal gets sent to a 6-year deal. All said and done. With voidable years, not options. Options are they're under contract and the team has the right to void it. Then they're no longer on the 49ers. Voidable years are just 100% phony years, but it's their ability to take their signing bonus and stretch it over 4 years instead of 2. So what they're doing is they're doing more of these contracts. They're losing on the return for comp picks. But what the hell was I just going to say? I lost my train of thought. Son of a bitch. I hate when this happens.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have stopped talking. My bad, man. Because you were talking about Leonard Floyd and his deal and all the extra years on it.
Yeah.
Because his signing bonus was $10 million, but they broke that down over 5 years. Really, is what it's looking like. It's only 2.1 every year. So I mean, it was 10.7. Yeah, and they broke that down over 5 years, really. Which is kind of odd because all he has guaranteed at signing was $12 million.
So I forgot what I was going to say, but it all leads to this. The more and more you keep doing it, even though if it's 2 or if it's 5 million, if it's 6 million, all that shit adds up, right? So what they're doing is they're structuring these deals this way to get the player that they want, but to pay them what they want to get them and stretch it out to protect the 49ers and give them more wiggle room. All the people that they're restructuring and to move on from Eric Armstead, what they're doing is essentially taking a credit card, taking a cash advance on it, rolling it to the following offseason, and then it gets paid off. So that's what they're doing. It's like not a cash advance, a no interest financing. So you take your balance, you put it on here, you have a year to pay it off, and that's what they're doing. So they're taking that number and they're saying, okay, we're going to get $16 million from Eric Armstead. They restructured. There was a partial restructure as far as McCaffrey. So let's just say that number is $25 million. Now they're taking that $25 million over the Armstead move and the new negotiation of Jennings' contract and as well as CMC's, and they're taking that money and they're moving it to 2025 to keep them in the game. So you ever hear the term of they're robbing Peter to pay Paul? That's what they're doing. So how they're staying afloat.
To further your point, and I'm going to get to this comment after I say this, you're saying like once they have to pay Brock, like the team has to do some real changing that's not sustainable at that point. And it kind of goes to, 2025 was the year that we were really looking at. And that's when they're negative 23 million already, right? They haven't paid Brock yet. They're already negative 23 million. But also, here's something that's very interesting. Most people will know this. The average age for like all the players on the team, the Niners become the oldest team in the NFL in 2025. They're the oldest team in the NFL. 27.4 is the average age of all the players on the team. So they officially become the oldest team in the entire league. And then you have to pay Brock Purdy. So that means that they're going to have to go younger. They're not going to be able to keep bringing in these big price free agents and defensive linemen and things like that. They're going to have to be deal shopping for a long time. And so these young rookies are going to really have to step up in these upcoming years. So that was a really good point. The question on the board here is for you, Tony. It says, do you think Houston or Miami would pounce on getting Debo? Now, I know it's to you. I'm just going to speak on Miami really quick. The answer is no. They already have 2 wide receivers in the top 10 of NFL salaries at their position. I don't think they could even afford a Debo if they wanted to. Houston, maybe. You got some guys on a rookie deal. But, Tony, what do you think here?
No, I mean, if they didn't have Waddle, Miami, I would say yes, because I think Waddle's a Debo type wide receiver in stature, like a physical type style of playing. Built very similar to Debo, but is a more better wide receiver than Debo as far as like actual like wide receiver skill set. I'm not saying he's a better player, but he's a better route runner than Debo and stuff like that. But I swear, I don't care what anyone says. I think Debo's probably one of the most dangerous, if not top 3 dangerous players with the ball in his hand in the NFL.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Blackbeard says, sounds like we're in transition mode after we pay Brock, and that's kind of what Tony's point has been the whole time.
Damn.
JD says Ravens maybe, but not those other 2 teams. So all right. Let's keep it moving here, though. Did you figure out what you were going to say? I know we were talking. I was trying to buy some time for you to get your thoughts together. Did you ever remember what it was that you were going to say?
No, just it'll pop in my head.
All right. That's cool. So let's keep it moving. So we go out, we get these wide receivers. We talk about getting another big wide receiver. I think that is a message to Ayuk personally, not so much Debo. I think that was a message to Ayuk. I don't think the Niners are as disappointed in Debo as the fans were. And I thought Debo had a phenomenal year, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. But it is what it is. It could have been better, absolutely, but I don't think there was anything wrong with any of our skill position players last year, if I'm being honest. I think Jauan Jennings might be slightly overrated as far as production goes. He is one of the better blocking wide receivers on the team, but he's not even the top blocking wide receiver. He had, a handful of catches this year. I don't know. I don't know if the valuation for Jennings was quite right, but it's not my money, so I don't really care what they paid him. They liked him. They wanted to keep him back. I'm glad they were able to keep him here. So the next thing that happens following the draft, and as far as any big news that comes along, is the Christian McCaffrey extension. Tony, what were your thoughts on the CMC deal, and how do you think that all played out?
I like the CMC deal because I think he's truly the offense runs through CMC. He's that guy that if you're going to invest in him, because it's going to be 110% year in, year out, play in, play out through the rest of his career as a 49ers. And also, it seems like it wasn't truly a not going to say, how do I say this? It wasn't truly a full out extension. It was kind of giving him more guarantees, right? And what they did was, again, they added on those years to stretch out those monies, stretch out the money end of it. But from what I've read, it does seem like they just guaranteed money for 2 years, for 2024, 2025.
Exactly. $24 million guaranteed at signing. He only got a signing bonus of $14 million.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm good with it because he is the offense runs through CMC, in my opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong. The offense is Brock, but it runs through CMC. Based on a heavy play action offense, you need a good running back. He runs, he can catch, he can block, he can run routes, great hands out of the backfield. He can throw touchdown passes. He does it all. So if you're going to invest in somebody, that's the type of player that you want to invest in because you know what you're going to get in return.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing about this, aside from him getting the guarantees, you're getting married and all that stuff, and God forbid, knock on wood, something were to happen and they hadn't done this deal, he's just done. There was no more pay for him, and that's not cool. Not for a guy that is touching the ball, 20% of the time in your entire offense when you have a loaded offense like this. So I thought that was a good look for him. And I'm not like a lot of the people who say, oh, we're using him too much. Wrong. When you have a guy who reset the running back market, all of a sudden running backs can make up to $20 million a year now because of Christian McCaffrey, when I think the highest paid guy before that was only like 14 or 15 million a year. Thank you for making running backs valued again, Christian McCaffrey. Now, the issue is most teams have running back by committee. No one really has that bell cow type guy like the Niners have in McCaffrey. But I'm sure Derrick Henry's probably thinking, fuck, I should have waited. You know what I mean? He signed that deal with the Ravens. Now the Ravens got to steal if they're going to really lay on Derrick Henry. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. And, it's going to make these other running backs go out there. All of a sudden you hear, what's his name? Stevenson over in New England saying that I want to be the bell cow. He doesn't want to be just a guy. He wants to be the guy. And he's got goals now. Nick Chubb signed that little 1-year deal coming off that injury. So it's like, all right, I'm going to do what I got to do, and hopefully I can get paid after that. Now all of a sudden these guys are motivated thanks to Christian McCaffrey. So I like what it did for the running back market. I think that running backs have been terribly underrated the last damn decade, if I'm being completely honest with you. I hate how running backs have been treated. So I like seeing this for the league more than I actually like seeing it for Christian McCaffrey. Would you like to see his workload lessened? Would you like to see less touches a game for Christian McCaffrey? Or forget touches. Let's talk about snaps, because even if he doesn't get the ball, he's got to pick up blocks. He's running downfield to block. I mean, the wear and tear is pretty much the same, if we're being completely honest. If he's on the field, he's involved in some sort of physical contact. Would you like to see that lesson? Would you like to see Kyle lean on, we drafted some running backs. We got some running backs on the team still that they like, and Elijah Mitchell and Mason. I mean, what are your thoughts on the usage of Christian McCaffrey, and how would you like to see that going forward?
I would like to see them implement more of a rotation. I think it will extend McCaffrey's career. And then in the latter part of the season, when it's go time, then you start leaning on him more. But if it's early in the season they need him, I think they should lean on him. But if they have a significant lead, there's no reason why you're handing the ball off to them. I mean, I'm not like a 20-point lead. I'm talking if they're up 10 points, get some fresh blood in there, get some fresh legs in there, give them a little break. But the problem is it's not Kyle. It's not Bobby Turner. It's not John Lynch. It is McCaffrey. He don't want to come off the field. And that's the issue. So I know a coach could intervene and override a player, but I mean, now do you want to start that issue? But I mean, in one breath, you're paying him. You want him on the field. He's one of your best players on your offense. So, I mean, you want him, but just be very, aware. Like, you don't want to hurt him. You don't want him to have high mileage going into the playoffs. You want this guy to be as fresh as you could, but still produce at a high level week in and week out. You also want to keep these guys behind them moving because, God forbid, something happens to them. These guys need to be ready. And, it looks like it's going to be Elijah Mitchell. It's going to be – I think it should be Mitchell, Mason before you even talk about this Guerrero kid. Because I got to be honest with you, I know Wayne loves him, this kid's fast, but that's it. No, I'm
Fired.
respectful. This guy's been to two major, right? He's yet to take over a starting role. I think that's a little concerning. That's just my. I don't know.
Can you tell me a college team with one running back, like a predominant running? I just don't see it. Oh, what are you drinking there? Is that the Body Armor water?
No, it's Essential.
Oh, the Essential. Okay. I was gonna say I got you.
I gotta get it. They didn't have it in Wawa. I ran in Wawa before I got this.
It's hard to find in stores, man. I don't know why. And you'll find the Body Armor flavored drinks, but they don't have the water for some reason, man. I like that alkaline water from Body Armor. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic, but yeah.
I think he could be a good running back, but he's got a lot to learn and he has to develop. He has to. Like, he went to Wisconsin, couldn't take the lead back. He went to where they drafted him at? Louisville, couldn't take the lead back there. And I'm a Florida State fan, Mike. I watched that game. Yeah, he had a couple nice runs. That was it. Like you don't see, you see him explode. I will give him that. He cuts. If the read is there and that cut is there, he plants that foot. He's going. But the problem is sometimes he hesitates. Sometimes he'll do that one cut, but he's not fully committing because he's trying to look for something else.
And not that I'm making an excuse for him, right? But it's kind of give and take, right? The guys will get better with more reps. If you're going to be a split backfield all the time, then that's kind of what you're going to get until he's put in more. Maybe he was a guy that was picked up for these new kickoff rules, right? So the new kickoff rules that you have to have two guys back now. Remember back in the day, you used to see one guy on one end of the field and one guy on the other of the end zone. Like, it depends on which way they kicked it. You always had a guy over there. Then the other guy would take off and start getting ready to block for whichever way the ball didn't go. Maybe that's what they're going to do now. Maybe that's why they were looking at a guy like this who has that explosion and can make one cut and take off, right? Like maybe that's what they were looking for in a guy like Isaac Guerendo. I don't know.
I mean, clearly he was drafted for one reason. That's his speed, because you can't question that. He is fast. I will give him that. He could catch the ball out of the backfield. That's another major plus. But I think I just need to see more from him. And as far as seeing, believing, and cutting, seeing, hitting it, acceleration, committing at the acceleration point, I have to see that. But now the problem is this: I think we can agree on this. Right now, Mitchell's running back 2, and Mason's running back 3, and Guerendo's penciled in at 4. But I got to be honest with you, this kid from Missouri, Schrader, you better watch him because he does everything that Christian McCaffrey does, but just not as fast. So,
okay.
If you have somebody that is like a Christian McCaffrey 2.0, but is nowhere near, he's running like a 4.6 or 4.59, I think he runs, or 4.6, something like that. If you got to ask yourself is if this kid had Guerendo's speed, he would have been gone in the first round.
So Schroeder ran a Schrader, sorry, Cody Schrader. 40 time is, and I hate looking at 40 time, but it's 4.61. 4.61.
What was his 10-yard?
Let me find it. Here we go.
5.5.
So he had 10-yard split it's loading. Sorry.
1.56.
It's not on here. Wow. Am I on the right page? Combine.
Oh wait, he didn't get invited to the combine. That's right. Never mind.
Yeah. Well, no, he ran the 40 at the combine. I got the tape. I got the film of it right here. Yeah.
He went to the
combine. Let me refresh this.
If he ran the 40, the 10-yard split should be there because it's part of the 40.
This is a total access thing. All right, let me type in Cody Schrader. Let's see combine numbers. Let's see if his combine profile comes up because that took me to something else. No, it's taking me back to this thing. Oh, here we go. All right. So his athleticism score, blah, 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 blah. All right, here we go. 4.61 40. 10-yard split was 1.55. Vertical jump was 33. That's it. 5. Yeah, and that was all he did.
So that shows you his first step is there. It's just as long his first 10 yards are there. And after that, he loses gas. He doesn't have that.
You know who that sounds like to me?
Frank Gore.
You talk about, well, I was going to say Elijah Mitchell. The only difference is Elijah Mitchell's reported 40 time was a lot better. However, I didn't see that on film. Even as a player with the 40, I didn't see Elijah Mitchell running away from anybody. But that first step, he is deadly in those first 10, 15 yards. Elijah Mitchell was really, really good at that. And that's what the way you're describing Schrader sounds like that to me. You know, you get busy in the first 10, you know, if you can make one person miss, you're getting that first down. You're getting 7, 8 yards to carry. That's what Elijah Mitchell did really, really well. You know what I'm saying? So that's what Schrader sounds like to me based off of the way you're describing him.
But again, this is all like me reading, like, you know, reports online, listening to people talk online. You know, Guerrero, he's just not there yet. Like, he's not, and you can't expect him to come in day one and be like, oh shit, he's the number 2 back. He'll never be that because he's not fully developed. All the pieces are there. You just got to develop them now, and let's see if they can do that.
Yeah. All right. So we got a question from the chat here, and I am going to read it and then shut up because I feel like this is directed to you. It says, and I quote, "What's more likely? We win a Super Bowl in the next few years, or Kyle gets fired?" And then he goes on to say, "Kyle and this roster don't make sense to me because we have to pay Brock and we have players getting older like Trent and Kittle." Talking about Trent Williams, not Trent Taylor. Because I know Trent and Kittle were locked, you know, rookies at the same time and all that stuff. So what do you say? What do you say to that? What's more likely? We win a Super Bowl or Kyle gets fired?
I think win a Super Bowl.
Okay. All right. Now, more 49ers news. After the after the Christian McCaffrey contract extension happens, we get news that Trent Williams may be looking for new money. Tony, I have been dying to get your thoughts on this because you are one of the biggest Trent Williams fans that I know, but you are also one of the people that can't stand extending old guys and kicking money down the road, because we know if he gets new money, that contract is going to be written until he's 45 years old. We know. we know this is going to be like the last contract of his NFL career. God knows how many phantom years will be at the end of it. What were your thoughts on this when that report started floating around that he could be looking for a restructure or a new contract? I don't know exactly what the wording was, but Trent Williams looking for new money.
I think he's looking for more guarantees next year and the year after. I don't think it has anything to do with an extension. I think he just wants more guaranteed money, which they would have to restructure his deal. Of course, it's going to cost them a couple phantom years, void years, to try to keep it realistic for them. But I don't think it gets done. I don't.
So,
I do not think it gets done.
When he signed with the Niners, he only had $40 million guaranteed at signing, which actually is a lot less than what I thought, considering he signed a 6-year deal. Right? So that was a little bit of a shock just right there. Just boom. What? Shocking, right? You sign a 6-year deal with only $40 million guaranteed. That is very team friendly, just on face value. Now, when you step back and look at the total amount, 6 years, $138 million, like they did that for a guy who was 33 years old. So essentially, he signed to the age of 39. Now, you're saying he's looking for new money and new guarantees. That would make sense. His signing bonus was $30 million, so he basically got all the guaranteed money up front. He's been playing with $10 million guaranteed the remainder of his contract since he signed in 2021.
And don't forget,
it's just all about.
Don't forget, they had an opt-out for him. They could exercise that opt-out, and he would have been gone.
Well, that was this year. But the dead cap was still $30 million. I mean, I understand what people are saying, but that's a big dead cap number for a guy who was still one at his position. Like, they're not getting rid of him. I understand that it's an option, but it's not a realistic option.
No,
there was a realistic option.
The opt-out was when did he sign his deal?
2021. So
21, 22, 23. They would have done it after the 23. No.
Yeah.
Before the 20, they would have had to take the opt-out before the 23 season and then that would have avoided 24, 25, 26. But the money, something would have been changed with the money. I don't know. I was reading. It's a really complex contract. I know Spot Rack had it, but it was weird. It's like they walked away from 3 years, and it was like maybe $10 million. I don't know if it was over the cap or one of them I was reading it on. But it was a weird structure. Like they backloaded this deal, and if they hit that void, those numbers just disappeared because they were a part of the voidable years. So the dead cap wouldn't be accounted for because they totally voided those final 3 years.
See, and that's not showing here. What I can see on Spot Rack, looking at Trent Williams' deal, his dead cap numbers. His very first year was $40 million. Now, obviously, that was the value of the 1 year because you got the $30 million signing bonus, and he was playing for about 1.5 base and cap hit of next to nothing, and the roster bonus less than $1 million. So that makes sense. But year 2, 2022, dead cap of $32 million. 2023, which was last year, dead cap of $41 million, and then it drops. Hear me out. Drops down to almost $30 million, 29.8 this year, but then next year it goes down to 19.1, and then the year after that is 8.3. In 2026, 2027 is there, but it's one of those void years that we were talking about earlier. So you think that Trent would like to? So it would be an extension, right? But it would also be a restructure at the same time. So I guess you would consider it a restructure, not an extension. I don't know. I don't know the difference in the wording for someone who has this much time left on his contract.
An extension would be. I don't know. I don't know. It's difficult.
I feel like with an extension, you take all the money that's left over, and then you can rework it and add extra years on to the end of it. That's what I feel like an extension is.
Well, the difference would be: are they voidable years? Are they team option years? That would have to be defined. Now, if they're voidable years, that means the player is going to be gone at the end of the contract, but they're extending that money 3 years past his contract to keep it a number that's low and affordable for the team. But the problem is you can't keep pushing money that way because you still got to pay it. And we just talked about 3 people that the Niners are doing or would do it for or have done it for, and you're already at almost $20 million. Right now, they have to start transitioning this team to have a highly paid franchise quarterback. There's no more rookie deal. It's done. This is their last hope. Maybe next year they could squeak one more push. After these 2 years, it's going to be a night and day difference. I think. I really do. I cannot see them keep running and operating the ship this way and keep doing these bogus years that push money out. But in the long run, you still have to pay that money. So essentially, remember with D Ford?
Mm-hmm.
D Ford when he retired? Guess what? Last year was the last year they paid D Ford. $5.5 million. You can't keep doing this. Because they're doing it with more. D Ford was a reason because he retired, because he was injured. All right, we understand that. We'll push some money out, whatever. Get him off the books. You get some instant relief, and you make a little bit more relief to push it down a little bit. One player, yeah, you take it on the chin. Maybe you do it for 2 players. But Jesus Christ, everyone they signed this year all have void years that are more than a 1-year deal. All these guys have void years.
But that's what the cap manipulation is all about, man. If the NFL doesn't like it, they got to change their cap rules. But I mean, the Niners are going to play the game like everybody else is, man. The Saints are negative $100 million. And they don't stress. They were $100 million when the season started last year, and I thought the rule was you had to be at an even balance. You know what I'm saying? Like the Saints have been dealing with that. So I just feel like the cap is just like it's a guide more than it is a rule. I really, really feel that way. I don't know any teams that have lost picks and all that stuff too. Was there one team that did it in the last 2 years? but if so, it was meant.
Draft for it. Someone did lose a draft pick. I don't remember who, but I remember someone lost. I mean, it wasn't a significant draft pick. But.
Right. But the Niners aren't close to the numbers that those teams were at. You know what? The Cowboys were the team that were over the cap at the deadline, and the Saints. And I don't recall either of them losing anything, but someone did lose something. Question from Ben Michelle, but before we get to Ben's question here, someone asked when was the 49ers – oh, here it is. When does 49ers training camp start? And that is on Wednesday, July 26th this year.
Last week.
Wednesday, July 26th. Yeah. So this is that 40-day lull that they're about to go into where they won't be doing too much. The question here for both of us, it says, question for you both. I know it's easy to point fingers, but where do we need to focus on going into the new season? And I don't think he's talking about, winning the Super Bowl. Like, how does this team, where do we focus on improving? Like, what did the Niners not do well or well enough last year? What do we need to do to be better? And it's hard to be better. You're the best team in the NFC already, right? Like, what do you need to be better? I think the Niners, I think if the Niners played Niners ball all 4 quarters, we win that Super Bowl. I had never been more confident about this team in the Super Bowl than any of the Super Bowls I've ever watched live. This one I had the most confidence in. I wasn't confident in Colin Kaepernick against that Ravens defense. I'll be honest with you guys. I hoped we win. I hope we win all of them, right? I wasn't overly confident that year with Jimmy Garoppolo, right? I wasn't that confident, and the confidence I had heading into the postseason quickly diminished when we played the Vikings and when we played the Packers, and they were like, yeah, Jimmy, don't throw the fucking ball. Go sit down somewhere. Right? Like, it was like, all right, like that was the sign to me that this probably ain't going to be the one. But thank God we're here. Let's see what happens, right? This past one, I had all the confidence in the world. I would have bet everything in my savings account that the Niners were going to win that game, and I would have lost. I just knew we were destined to win that game. It's hard to find out what we need to focus on. But so, Tony, what would you like to see the 49ers do? I do have some answers, but I want to hear from you before I say anything.
I mean, well, let's look how they left off last season. No real pass rush. They go out and they add a consistent 10-sack guy year in and year out. Leonard Floyd, speed off the edge, guy who could set the edge. You bring in another defensive end, Yatir Matos, Gross Matos, a big, more physical defensive end who shows you some bend, who shows you some pass rush, who can set the edge as a run defender. So you address the edge in the run. You address the edge in the pass rush. Number 3, you address the run game. Couldn't stop the run for shit. Well, you have Gross Matos now. You bring in Collins. You bring in the kid from Cleveland. I'm blanking on his name. Oh, shit. What was his name? I liked him coming out of the draft. Oh, God. What's that defensive tackle name that they signed? From Missouri.
You're not talking about my guy from Houston. You said Cleveland, so I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Well, because Collins is from Houston. They traded.
Yeah, I love Collins. Yeah,
and then they signed the kid from Cleveland, which I'm trying to Jordan Elliott. They signed him, so they. You got to understand, it's not big pieces, it's not big money, but the weakness of our team last year was the depth on the defensive line. Well, they just beefed it up, right? They just beefed it up. They added 2 on the interior, 3 on the interior.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
2 edge guys.
It's really 2 because you lost Armstead, so you replace Armstead and you add 2 more. Whether you say that guy was directly a replacement for Armstead, but it's -1, so +3 is 2, so it's +2.
Yeah, so they added depth. They upgraded the positions. The linebacking core, Dre Greenlaw's out. You bring in a guy, Campbell. They upgraded the defense, right? They upgraded the defense. There's more depth on the defense. There's more depth in the secondary. There's more depth in the linebacker room. There's more depth on the defensive line. There's more depth and skill at the wide receiver group, the running back group. They're adding pieces. They're adding pieces across the board. The one place where they really didn't address in the draft, because I think the guy that they want was Sanat, and Washington took them. Funny how that worked out. But You know, they didn't go young in the draft. They signed a guy from Furman, the former basketball player, Peline or something, Peline, as a project guy. They signed Logan Thomas. They signed Schroeder or Sherbert, whatever his name is. So they upgraded across the board. Now they have to develop and stuff like that. You know, Braden Willis has had a strong offseason so far. Latu is MIA. But overall, they added a lot of good pieces and depth and skilled position players and skill set to this team. And that's what you want to see. You don't want to see them stand pat. You want to see them add. And they did. They added a lot of good pieces to this team. So it's going to be interesting. I think they done everything that they not wanted, but I think they've done everything they needed to do. I mean, the one place would be, you know, some fans are okay with Colton McKivitz. Some fans hate Colton McKivitz. So clearly they liked him enough to extend him and bring him back as a starter. They signed Hubbard to come in and, like, you know, light a little fire under his ass to keep him competing instead of just handing him the job again. But listen, worst comes to worst, you have the starting offensive line that went all the way to the Super Bowl back. So that's a positive. So, you know, we'll see.
It's interesting because you used the word upgraded a couple of times, and I don't know that on paper the 49ers upgraded over last year. Once you get to week 5, the 49ers edge guys were – we had Nick Bosa, we had Chase Young, we had Drake Jackson still, right? I think that's a very solid 3 I'm talking about on paper. They didn't know what it was going to end up being, right? But on paper, that's a solid group of edge rushers. Then you had Armstead and Hargrave on the interior and a first-round pick as a rotational guy and Kinlaw, who was finally healthy, right? Like, I don't know that it necessarily equates to, if you compare that to what we have now across the defensive line, I don't know that it looks like on paper an upgrade. Right now, you did have a good point where you bring in a 10-year sack guy, a 10-sack guy per year, and Floyd, right? I do like that, and I do think Floyd will be an upgrade over what we actually got from Chase Young. So let me be very clear what I'm saying here. I do think that he will be an upgrade as far as a pass rusher over Chase Young, but there were so many other pieces that had the potential and all that stuff. I do think that they upgraded the secondary. I do like what we have now over guys like Oliver. You know what I'm saying? I've been sitting here pounding the table because I've been wanting to see more of Womack, right? But the jury's still out on him. He's still around. I like that. He can still come in here and compete. I don't know that we upgraded the safety position at all. I'm actually one of my biggest concerns. And if I had to answer Ben's question here, you know, I would like to see that safety play improve. The fact that you got rookie Jair, well, he was a rookie, second-year player in Jair Brown penciled in as a starter right now is concerning to me because Jair Brown, while he's a Jersey guy, and y'all know how I am about my Jersey guys, left a lot to be desired on the football field. And don't take my word for it. Listen to his presser. He'll be the first person to admit it to you. You know, you hear Talanoa Hufanga saying, "Hey, I'm not guaranteed to be a starter, but I am happy to be here with the team. I can't run and do all that stuff, but I'm someone that they can ask questions to. I can tell them how I see things, and I love picking the mind of John Lynch. He's still trying to improve his game. That's troublesome when your starters are both saying, "Yeah, I got a lot to learn still." To me, that's troublesome, right? You hear the new defensive coordinator come in here. I'm saying new, but new in the position. But Nick Sorensen comes in and says, George Odom looked really, really good. One of the best looking safeties so far. Now, we're in no contact still. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not a whole lot that we can really gauge. But he's saying that George Odom looks really, really good right now. I just don't know that the Niners are better now than what they were at this time last year. Right? I'll take Fred Warner and a healthy Greenlaw over Fred Warner and an improving D. Winters. Not to say that I'm not excited about what D. Winters could be. You heard glowing remarks from Fred Warner if you guys watched the presser breakdown that we did on the Patreon. And if you haven't seen it, it'll be coming to YouTube. What's today? Is today Wednesday? No, tomorrow's Wednesday. It'll be on Wednesday show. You guys will see that. It'll be available for you guys to see if you didn't see it on Patreon already. But I broke down the Fred Warner presser, and he had a lot of glowing remarks for D. Winters and how he looks so far. I just don't know that the 49ers defense on paper is better. The secondary, as far as the corners, is absolutely better. Absolutely better. But I just don't know if the safeties are better. I think we kind of missed there a little bit. I think the linebackers could be a step back. I think the edge rushers, let's call it a push. I will take a proven commodity and a Floyd over Chase Young now, knowing what we got from him. There was no one happier about the Chase Young acquisition than me. You know how I am about my Ohio State guys. I love Chase Young. But what we got from him versus what we're going to get from Floyd, or what we're projected to get from Floyd, I think is going to be a push that way. But the interior is going to leave a lot to be desired. I'm sorry, but these guys are coming in here, and Hargrave should be healthy. We found out at the end of the season that he was nursing something all season long, and that's why he wasn't quite the guy that he was supposed to be. But I warned you guys, I forewarned you guys that he is not a double-digit sack guy. That was an anomaly of a season. Eric Armstead had double-digit sacks one year. And I try to tell people he's more like Eric Armstead than he is like DeForest Buckner. And everyone should get their minds right when they're looking at a guy like Javon Hargrave. Sorry, but that's just what it is. If you're looking at pass rush production, if you're looking at
I got to push back there because he came flying out the gate and had 6 sacks like this. And then that's probably when he got hurt and he just started that downward trajectory. 6.5 or 5.5 sacks. He came out hot. Bang, bang, bang. He was in the backfield, and then you saw it just tail off. So that could be the area where he sustained some type of injury and he just wasn't himself. But he had a phenomenal start in San Francisco, in my opinion. On that,
that's
defense.
absolutely fair. I like that. That is a very, very fair statement, right? He came in and just wowed us right away. Like, oh man, that's why you give that guy that money. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not mad at that, and that's why I said, hopefully, ideally, he's healthy now, and we'll get more of what we expected to get from him. I want to see some tackles for loss. I want to see that big stopgap in the middle there in the run game. The 49ers really fell off in their run defense. There was 2 areas that I was concerned with the 49ers. Hopefully you guys can hear that. There's 2 areas that I was concerned with the 49ers last year when I step back and look at it all. It was the run defense, the run fits, and the lack of swarming to the ball. If the play went to the right side, everybody on the left just seemed to kind of stand around, just fucking look. That was not 49ers brand of football. Ever. I had never seen so many guys just kind of half-assing it after a play went in the opposite direction. I had never seen that before. That was not Niners ball. Now, we got a ton of turnovers. I think we led the league in interceptions or tied. One of the two. It was either first or second, or first or tied for first for total number of interceptions last year. And that's cool and all, but how many did we take to the house, right? Like how many resulted in points like that? It's just a little bit different. And the Niners made a concerted effort to go out there and get after ball hawks. They wanted guys like Jair Brown and guys like Talanoa Hufanga, who just seemed to have a nose for the ball. But Hufanga admitted himself that they made a play call, and I was more focused on executing the play as it was called as opposed to trusting my instincts. And he said that this offseason, while he's on the sideline and standing in the back of the end zones next to John Lynch, a all-pro Hall of Fame safety, he's asking him, what should I be doing? How do I get better? And John Lynch straight up told him, hey, you got to start trusting your instincts and not so much the play call. That's a damning criticism and critique, not so much on him. It's a huge critique on Steve Wilks, but it is a critique on Hufanga as well. We picked you for you and your mindset and your processing. You threw the processing out and just said, all right, this is the play call and this is what I'm going to do. I think it might be a little bit of that intimidation. Like you're a starter and you don't want to mess up, so I'm going to do exactly what the coaches tell me, even though it might not be what I see I should be doing. No, we want you to trust what you see, and we want you to act on that. So I thought that was very good for him to go out there and admit. All right. Let me see here. There's a couple of other comments. Go ahead, Tony, while I'm looking for the catch up on the comments here. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you go.
It's just excited to see D. Winters. Here we go. DJ Malone says, wouldn't it be hilarious if we were to beat Aaron Rodgers in a Super Bowl? Yeah, I know it's a stupid question, although I think it would fuck with his head. Listen, I would love nothing more than that. I am a person who remembers everything that you ever said or did towards for my 49ers, and him saying that they're going to regret it, he has yet to make us regret it. Aaron Rodgers never beat the 49ers in the postseason. And so as far as I'm concerned, all the regret is on his side. And the only way we play him in the postseason this year or any year going forward is if it's in the Super Bowl. And I would love to just, destroy his hopes and dreams of winning another Super Bowl. Imagine Aaron Rodgers finishing his career with just one Super Bowl dub, right? Like, haha. And then the Niners were the ones to stop you from getting two. I would love nothing more than that. What about you, Tony?
Yeah, I don't let's not jinx it. No, but yeah, that'd be good. It'd be a good
Ray
game.
Jr. says, yeah, it would, because you got Robert Saleh, who knows Kyle Shanahan and what this offense likes, and the flip side, right? The strength against strength, and they both know each other, so now it's about picking up on each other's tendencies, And Kyle wanted that type of defense to practice against because he said from his days as a coordinator, anytime I had to play against those Pete Carroll type defenses and those prodigies from Pete Carroll, those were the toughest defense to play against. So I want that from my defensive scheme as a head coach. So, it's pretty cool. Ray Jr. says here, do you believe the Niners addressed the issues during the draft, and what positions was it? Well, I kind of answered that with my answer with the safeties. I don't think we really addressed it. I thought the safeties were a big question mark. But I don't think the team had a ton of needs, if I'm being honest with you guys. I don't think we had a bunch of needs. I think the wide receivers were good. Offensive line, maybe, but you don't want to reach for an offensive lineman, especially when you have the best offensive line coach in Chris Forrester in the entire NFL, who makes gourmet meals out of dumpster diving food. Like he is phenomenal at his job. I think he is better at what he does than Chris Kocurek is at what he does. And so when you got a guy like Chris Forrester, you can afford to not go out there and reach on offensive linemen. So while some people like Tony said, some people were okay with McKivitz while others weren't, I think that we have such a good offensive line coach that we don't have to reach for those positions. I think the Niners did really, really well in the draft. What about you, Tony?
Yeah, I like what they did, but don't sleep on this Mustafa kid, man. This kid, he might have a shot to contribute quick and early this year as a depth piece or a package piece in that secondary. Very instinctive player, better athlete than Hufanga as far as like time, speed. He was a very good player at Wake Forest, and I'm telling you, from a Florida State fan, watching him play, I mean, he played multiple looks, split safety, single high safety. He played like, I forgot what they call it, but similar to like a star, or I think they call it the Joker role, where he'd be in a box, he'd be like a matchup guy. I think he's really good, and I think the Niners are really happy they got him, and I think the future could be bright for him.
And that is a good point. While I'm sitting here saying they didn't address the safety, which was my biggest concern, they did absolutely address the position. Now we got to see what the player turns into. You were absolutely right. So that is a phenomenal call by you there, Tony. Let me see here. Leon Sandcastle has an interesting comment here. I think it's 100% Debo's last year. I think one player that can fill his role is CMC. Demands the same gravity from the defense. Using him more in the passing game as a wide back would extend his career. What say you to this comment, man? I've seen this a lot of the times throughout the 49er fan base and online and the different pages and all that stuff, even on Reddit. What do you think about that, Tony? Did Christian McCaffrey come in here and kind of make Debo's role, did he diminish it a little bit?
Absolutely. 100%. And I think the Niners got put in a predicament before they traded for CMC. They paid Debo on that role going forward, and then you add CMC. So it's kind of like they defeated the purpose of the Debo's contract by adding a CMC to take over the duties in the backfield and limit more Debo to a wide receiver. So, I mean, I said it before, he's probably the most dangerous guy with the ball in his hands, but he's with CMC here, he needs to be a wide receiver. So it's kind of like, Kyle can get cute. He can line them both up in the backfield at the same time, motion McCaffrey out, and then feed it to Debo on a sweep or something, whatever he wants. But clearly the intent is no longer there with the addition of CMC. And that contract that they gave him, they projected him to be a CMC / Debo, the wide back, if you will, and wide receiver role. So they're paying him at a higher value rate than what he currently is due to CMC being on the roster.
Interesting. Now I don't recall this, and I'm not the draft guru guy that a lot of people are out there. He says not to mention Garindo, big fast wide receiver turn running back. Did Garindo play wide receiver? He says he thinks that he's wide back in development.
I think he might have at one point. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't dig that deep into him. But listen, I'm not saying he's garbage. He just needs a lot of reps and developmental time. And to say, I mean, listen, you're right. You're 100% right. They could have drafted him specifically for that role. 100%. Just to be a kick returner and let him develop along the lines of doing that. But I just can't say, yeah, he's the back of the future right now. He's got to show more. He's got to develop more.
So in high school, he hauled in 19 receptions. Wow. Only on 19? Okay, 19 receptions for 596 yards. It's 30 yards a pop and 6 touchdowns. That's in high school. He had a breakout senior year, bringing 54 receptions for 1,258 yards and 16 touchdowns. All right, so that's what he's talking about. He was a wide receiver in high school. Okay. All right. I had to look this up because I just wasn't quite sure. So that's where you get it from. And then once he went to Wisconsin, it was right to running back. Then there was the COVID season and all that stuff. Yeah, so high school, wide receiver, college, running back. So, okay, all right, good stuff there, man. Good call there. All right, Ray Jr. says, how much money will they pay Brock when it's time to pay him? And this is the question that everybody is scratching their head on. So, Tony, let's just go ahead and get this over with, man. I'm going to give you a number, and I want you to say yes or no on whether or not you think Brock Purdy would accept this offer. And I'm only talking about average per year. I don't give a fuck about structure. I don't care about bonus and incentives and all that stuff. I'm talking about per year. If the 49ers would say, this is how much we're willing to pay you per year, would Brock accept it?
Good.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
$39.5 million a year.
Over how many years?
You pick. I'm talking about just average per year. It's got to be 5 or more. It's got to be 5 or more. Let's be clear. If they believe he's the guy, it's got to be 5 or more years. But that's going to be the APR.
Tell me the year.
5.
What do you
Mr. Irrelevant. Are y'all telling me that Mr. Irrelevant would balk at $39.5 million a year average? That's what I want to know. Everyone's thinking, oh, my God, it's going to be 50 because that's the going rate for a franchise. This guy is not an MVP. This guy is not a Super Bowl winner. This guy is still Mr. Irrelevant, surrounded by an all-star studded cast, and I think that's the joker that the Niners have in their pocket. Would he accept 39.5 over 5 years? If you call it 40, cool, but I'm saying 39.5 for a reason. I don't think the Niners get close to $50 million personally. And I know that's what everyone is saying is going to be the rate that he's going to have to accept.
I'm going to say that's tough. That's tough.
And that's why I asked that question. I think it's a very good question, man. Because I don't know that if Tony, you said something at the start of the show. I was going to use it against you, but I'm not going to let you answer the question because I don't want it to seem like I'm piling on you. So here's what I was going to say. Right? You said Ayuk has to understand his value here. Right? I think Ayuk outside the 49ers building would be getting, Amon-Ra St. Brown money. But here, Ayuk is a self-admitted fourth option on the team. Amon-Ra St. Brown is not that in Detroit.
Correct.
Justin Jefferson is not that in Minnesota.
Correct.
But Ayuk himself said that he's the fourth option here, and all those people that were ahead of him are still on this roster, right? So he's got to know his value here. I think the same has to go for Brock Purdy. I know it's the most important position on the field and all that stuff. I get it, but he still has to understand his value here, right? If the 49ers come in, because let's use Patrick Mahomes, the biggest contract for a quarterback ever in the history of the NFL. He's averaging $45 million a year. Now, since then, Joe Burrow is averaging $55 million a year. Justin Herbert's averaging 52.5. Lamar Jackson is averaging 52, and then Josh Allen is averaging 43. Jalen Hurts is averaging 51. Kyler Murray's at 46. And Deshaun Watson's averaging 46. Jared Goff is averaging 53. And Kirk Cousins is averaging 45. Dak Prescott is averaging, Dak Prescott is getting this much money already? Did Dak Prescott sign an extension that I don't know about? $40 million a year? Anyway, they have Dak Prescott at $40 million a year. They've got Matt Stafford, a Super Bowl winner, $40 million a year. Daniel Jones at $40 million a year. Right? Then you got Derek Carr at 37.5. That's the closest to what I said. Do you think Brock Purdy, knowing all those numbers and all those people that I just said?
I was going to say no before you said those numbers.
You were going to say what?
I was going to say no, he's getting more.
Okay. Looking at the field,
the structure would have been how they structure it. Like signing bonus, how they structure the deal. I see him coming in between, I would say $45 million.
So 45 would put him with Kirk Cousins and Patrick Mahomes. Deshaun Watson's getting 46. Everyone knows that was a terrible deal by Cleveland. Yeah. Kyler Murray's getting 46. I think that the jury is still out on that. I think Kyler Murray is a really good quarterback and underrated. We hate on him because he's in our division, but I think he's underrated. Then there's Jalen Hurts at 51, 52, 52.5 for Justin Herbert. So that would put him in that top 10. That would put him in the top 10. Josh Allen seems to have the most team-friendly average per year at 43 million a year. Never being MVP, never winning a Super Bowl. So that could be the market. Maybe 39.5 was me lowballing. Maybe that was me lowballing this guy if the team really believes in him. But all these guys were first-round picks except Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was a fourth-round pick, and that was because of a DUI. You got Daniel Jones, first-round pick. Matt Stafford, first-round pick, Super Bowl winner. Josh Allen, I believe, was a late first-round pick for them. Kirk Cousins, fourth-round pick, but Kirk Cousins does things a little bit different. Patrick Mahomes, MVP, Super Bowl winner. Deshaun Watson, first-round pick. Kyler Murray, first overall pick. Jalen Hurts was a... Did Hurts get picked in the second round or first round?
I think
no, he was a first-round pick. Was he a second-round pick?
Yeah. Shit, he might have been the third. No, second round.
I got to look that up. But Lamar Jackson was at the end of the first. Justin Herbert was a first-round pick. Jared Goff was a first overall pick. And then there's Joe Burrow, first-round pick. Like, we're talking about Mr. Irrelevant, guys. And I think, again, you got to look at these people who are getting paid that much money. Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, he don't have the weapons around him. Josh Allen in Buffalo don't have the weapons around him, right? I'm going to only talk about the people who are making more than 39.5, okay? And talk about the weapons around them, okay? Daniel Jones is at 40, so I have to include him. The weapons, he might not have them. So this could be the mark. That 40 million mark could be it. Matthew Stafford has good weapons around him, and he's won a Super Bowl. Dak Prescott has weapons around him. He's at $40 million. Josh Allen doesn't have those weapons around him that Brock Purdy has around him, $43 million. Kirk Cousins doesn't have those weapons around him, $45. Patrick Mahomes doesn't have those weapons around him at $45. Deshaun Watson, he's got some good weapons around him, but not as good as the 49ers at $46. Kyler Murray doesn't have those weapons around him at $46. Jalen Hurts, he's got the weapons around him, $51. Lamar Jackson doesn't have the weapons around him, $52. Justin Herbert doesn't have the weapons around him, $52. Jared Goff, he's got the weapons around him at $53, but Jared Goff was just in the NFC Championship. I can't take it away from him. Jared Goff and Brock Purdy might be the comparison that you want to look at, and then Joe Burrow has the weapons around him also and lost the Super Bowl just like Brock Purdy, $55 million a year. So you think 39.5 is too low?
Yeah,
and I'm inclined to agree.
The Ayuk, what you said about Ayuk, I think Brandon Ayuk shot himself in the foot by saying, I'm the fourth option here. I think he put a hand on him for the 49ers. And when he said that, the 49ers' eyes opened like, whoa, we got him.
Yep.
Now,
he put his foot in his mouth.
To say, right, to compare Ayuk to Purdy. Now, you could say, well, Ayuk wouldn't be who he is if it wasn't for Purdy, but then you could also say Purdy wouldn't be who he is if it wasn't for Ayuk. You could say back and forth. But my thing is this. Ayuk wants to get paid. It seems, I think his camp is pushing $30 million a year. That's what I think. Because if it was anywhere near 26, it would have been done already. Because the Niners have 26 on the table. And he's not even fucking sniffing around it. He wants nothing to do with it. I think his number is going to – I think his camp is pushing north of 30. But, I mean, I think a feasible number – I think 26 is a fair number for Ayuk. That's just me, okay? He's not on a team where he's the number one option. Like he said, he's not on a team where he's the focal – point of the offense. So that devalues him right off the bat. If the 49ers consisted of just him, Jennings, Pearsall, and maybe Kittle as a tight end with CMC, I'd be like, all right, you're at like where you're at, $26, $28 million. I can't see them going north of where they're at right now in this offer. And I hope the 49ers stay pat, because now you are going to be paying, if he gets what he wants, like I think it is, the $30 million, you're going to be paying a guy who came out publicly and saying, I'm not even the number one option in this offense, $30 million a year. I don't know how you do that. That's not good football business. I think optimally the 49ers want him back on his last year of his deal, which is what he's on now for approximately $14.5 million. See where he's at. See where Pearsall is at as a wide receiver, and then a decision is going to be made. Whether it's they move on from Debo or they move on from Ayuk, they tag him and trade him. They have options. The 49ers have full control of this situation, not Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk has zero control because the only person he's hurting is himself by sitting out. So with that being said, I feel that the Niners' main goal is to get the best of both worlds. You get all three of these guys in there, Pearsall, four of these guys, Pearsall, Jennings, Debo, Ayuk. You put them out in the field. You see them go. You make one strong push. You evaluate at the same time. You see where Pearsall is in his development by the end of the year. Then you make your decision on Ayuk. Now, could they gamble a little bit and say, well, you know what? You could be taking a shot and it's going to be raising his price tag. Sure, you could be. But at that point, if he does raise his price tag, Debo's no longer going to be there and you don't have to worry about that financial number. So I feel if you're asking me who's more important, I think Purdy's more important because Purdy's the one who runs the offense. Purdy's the one that delegates the ball out. He's the one that's making the throws, the reads, all that stuff. He controls the offense. And you're starting to see a little bit more of a leadership role being taken now by Purdy, according to what I'm reading and listening to on, like, the local sports radio shows. This is Brock Purdy's team going forward. They're going to have to pay him. I think he comes in between $42, $45 million a year. Pending signing bonus and all that shit. And I think if Brandon Ayuk truly wanted to be here and like what he's saying, like, my family's here, I'm from all that shit, I want to be a Niner, I think the deal for $26 million a year would have been signed already.
I don't think the $26 million a year report was real. I think Mike Silver is full of shit, just to be clear. I don't believe anything that comes out of that guy's mouth. He throws shit against the wall, tweets it, and when he's wrong, he's like, "Oh, my bad. Here's my new article. Check it out." Like he doesn't care. He plays off of it. Whether it's right or wrong, he posts an article right after and gets clicks on it, and that's his job. I don't believe anything Mike Silver says, just to be clear here. Now, I don't think that the Niners can come in less than $26 million a year because that's the going rate. The market is the market. Just like I sat here and just went through all those numbers for franchise quarterbacks. If the Niners believe Brock Purdy is a franchise quarterback, there's no way that his team is accepting $39.5 a year. You know what I'm saying? When you got 5 guys making over $50 million a year, Brock Purdy's going to have to come in in the mid 40s at least. And that's what the Niners trying to diminish what he does by using his supporting cast. You know what I'm saying? That's what the Niners diminishing what Brock Purdy brings to the table. And that's if they're lucky. So Brock Purdy might actually come in $48, $49 million a year on average, regardless of the length of the contract. So I like that. There's an interesting comment here from J.D. Durham. He says, Goff is a system quarterback, but Brock is Tarkenton and Breeze. Like, what do you think about that? Are those good comparisons for Brock Purdy?
I think so. I mean, I've just seen highlight films of Tarkenton. I never watched him play a game, obviously, but I see Breeze in him all day. I really do.
I see more. Breeze wasn't much of a scrambler, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, man. I saw something new out of Brock in that Lions game, the second half in particular, where I feel like if we could tap more into that, I say give him $58 million a year, right? Like, if he plays like that second half of that Lions game all year long.
Brock is a good quarterback, man. People are really like, he's a good quarterback.
Oh yeah. I agree that he's a good quarterback, period. Like, let me not make the statement from Mike Andrews, Brock Purdy is a good quarterback, right? But that Lions second half was special. That was better than good, right? That was great. That was, oh my God, there's nothing there. I'm going to use my legs to convert this third down. I'm going to use my legs and keep the ball moving. It didn't even have to be third down. Oh, play broke down. Someone's coming up from behind me. Watch this. Boom, going 15 yards. That was special. We hadn't seen that from Brock Purdy consistently. And we didn't see it afterwards. I thought we were going to see it more in the Super Bowl. We didn't even see it. I'm like, Brock, go. He didn't even do it in the Super Bowl, but whatever. So if we get more of that type of Brock Purdy, I say pay him. I say throw the book at him, right? So it's cool. But that would lean more to Tarkenton than it would Breeze. I think that would lead more to that. Leslie says here, hey Leslie, she said, who is BA's agent? Brandon Ayuk's agent's name is Ryan Williams, and he is with the Athletes First Agency. Williams.
He's John Lynch's agent too, isn't he?
I don't know who they represent, so I would be lying if I told you that. I knew that. So yeah. So I got one more topic for us, and this is the latest 49ers news here. And that is Christian McCaffrey is on the Madden cover. Tony, I want to get your thoughts on it, man. And shout out to who was it that said it? I believe it was Alex Tran was the first person that I saw post it, and his words were, they're talking in the barbershop, and it sounds like Christian McCaffrey is getting ready for a Madden cover. So the two images that I have seen going around, I don't know if these are fan-made or not, but I'm posting them on the screen right now. It looks like Christian McCaffrey is going to be on the Madden 25 cover, which is weird because I feel like the last 3 Maddens have been Madden 25, but I digress. And I even use that image for our page for the episode for today. Tony, my question to you is this one, man. Do you believe in the Madden curse?
I'm not answering this question, but I wish somebody else was on there.
Okay, so that did answer the question. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back the last 10 years of the Madden cover, and I'm going to let you know what the players did. So 10 years would be 2014. Adrian Peterson was on the cover, and he did top 1,000 yards, but he saw a big dip because in 2013, that's when he was coming back from the ACL, and he had 2,000 yards. So it was a dip, but it was still over 1,000 yards. And that was also after the child abuse charges. All right. So I would say that the curse kind of didn't really hold up, but it wasn't necessarily not there. 2015 was Richard Sherman. Okay. He had a diminished Super Bowl interception number. And his Seahawks did go to the Super Bowl, but they did not win. They had back-to-back appearances in the Super Bowl, but they didn't win that time. But he was still at the top of his game in that year. So I think that there was no curse there. 2016 was Odell Beckham Jr., and he went crazy the year before. In that year of playing, he still had over 1,400 yards. I don't think the curse held up. In 2017, it was Rob Gronkowski. He had double-digit touchdowns in 2016, but he missed almost all of the Patriots' first 4 games with a hamstring injury, and he finished with just 6 starts due to a herniated disc in his back. I think he was cursed. So from 2017, they went with Rob Gronkowski. They went right back to the Patriots again with Tom Brady. And Brady lost the Super Bowl. He did make it to a Super Bowl that year, but he lost the Super Bowl to Nick Foles and the Eagles in that season while being 40 years old. So I think that there was no curse there. Oh, man, this next one is interesting. 2019 was the Steelers' wide receiver, Antonio Brown. And he had 15 touchdowns in that year. It was a bad locker room thing. That was when he was on the locker room during the post-game thing. And he ended up being traded to the Raiders. And I think the curse ended up holding true for Antonio Brown. Now, in 2020, it was Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. He missed 2 starts due to injuries, but he did win the Super Bowl that year. So I say no curse there. In 2021, it was Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson coming off of an MVP season. And he was still really, really good. He had 1,000 rushing yards in that year. I would say no curse. I know I just said it was quarterback and 1,000 rushing yards, but it is what it is. In 2022, Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady and Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes graced the Madden cover. Tom Brady threw for 43 touchdowns that season at 44 years old, took Tampa Bay to the playoffs, and Mahomes tossed 37 touchdowns. They went 12-5, and they lost in the AFC title game. I would say that is not a curse. 2023, they actually put John Madden on the cover. We won't even discuss that. And then in 2024, last year, it was Josh Allen, the first Bills player to ever grace the cover. He threw for over 40 touchdowns last year for 4 straight consecutive seasons, got them to the postseason, and I think their hopes are still alive. So in the last 10 years, I think there are more positives than negatives from the Madden curse, Tony. Does that make you feel better about Christian McCaffrey being on the cover?
I just don't like shit like that. I never was a fan of covers, and I don't know. I just feel like it gives them bad juju. I don't know. Like
Okay,
it draws
that's fair,
attention.
Tony.
I don't like that.
You are a guy much like me. I don't think we have much time for video games. Do you have a PlayStation in your home?
No.
Do you have a Xbox in your home?
No.
If you did, would you buy Madden because a 49ers player is on the cover this year?
No, I'd buy Madden to buy Madden. It didn't matter who's on the cover. I used to play Madden a lot before I had kids.
Well, the last Madden that I have has Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady on the cover. I am getting it this year because Christian McCaffrey is on the cover.
You want to know the last
question is? Oh God! Wait, let me guess. Hold on. So
I don't know who's on the cover.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you the system I had. That'll tell you everything.
I swear to God, if you say Sega, I'm removing you from the stream.
Xbox 360.
Oh, it might as well have been Sega.
That was the last gaming system I had. And
oh my God.
I got the red light or the red ring. And
yeah, I remember the red ring of death. Yeah.
I was gonna buy another one, but they said, "Oh, they don't make it for that anymore." So I said, "Screw that." I was gonna buy.
That's the last game system you had.
I was gonna buy like a refurbished one.
Yeah,
but the guy don't make it for that no more. I was like, "Well, I guess I ain't spending $500 on a system."
Well, maybe you can go out and get Madden for the Switch. Ant has a Switch, right?
Yeah, I need on a TV. I can't play a Switch.
You can put the Switch in the TV.
Oh, that's right. Duh.
And then you can get the actual control and play it. Uh-oh, guys. I might have just convinced Tony to get Madden. Uh-oh, let's go. Huh? Promo deal. Use code NB9ERS. I'm kidding. We don't have that. Don't try it. It won't work, guys. It won't work. And if it does, I want my royalties. All right? I want my cut. Tony, man. Honestly, though, I do want to get – I know you said you don't want to touch on it too much, man. I think that if there's a player that you can put on there from this 49ers team, and it's not going to go to his head, if there was one, it would absolutely be Christian McCaffrey. I think this could affect some of the players in the locker room if it was them instead of Christian McCaffrey. But Madden and Christian McCaffrey, I think Christian McCaffrey has one of the best work ethics we have ever seen for, not just a 49ers player, but any player in the NFL.
I'll agree with that. He definitely works the hardest out of any. I'll say out of any player.
Yeah.
NFL. There's no one who has a harder work ethic than that kid. But it was the same, like his father was the same way, Ed McCaffrey. So
yeah, these guys are perfectionists. They're robotic with their training. As much as people like to give Nick Bosa. I think we both said it at the same. Did you say Bosa?
Yeah, they're like the Bosas, the McCaffreys.
Yeah. So, except Bosa kind of put a little. He kind of diminishes his workout regime with last year, that holdout and all that. And he admitted that he came in and he wasn't in the shape that he wanted to be in. So maybe it's not so much the Bosas. And, I just don't think that McCaffrey is going to be that guy. I don't think that what we saw from Nick Bosa and a slight holdout is going to be something that affects Christian McCaffrey. So I'm glad that he signed and he's back and everything and he's getting to work. So I believe that trophy – I believe that curse is not going to take place, and I think that we are going to be the first team. Damn, would we be the first team where, you know what? Let me see. Has anyone? Here we go. I'm typing this live. Has anyone been on the Madden cover and won the Super Bowl? What do you think the answer is to that, Tony?
No. I don't think anyone has won the Super.
Wrong. There is one. Damn, how didn't I say that? I just went through this whole thing. In 2020, that we lost the Super Bowl to him in 2021. In 2020, Patrick Mahomes was on the cover and his team won. He won his first Super Bowl against the 49ers. Patrick Mahomes did it.
Oh, really?
Mahomes is about to oh man, Mahomes did it. He's going to be upset because Christian McCaffrey is going to do it, guys. Christian McCaffrey is going to do it. Man, what a show. Tony, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we get out of here, man? I know you're tired. You probably got to get ready for work or get ready to go to sleep, something. I don't know what you're about to do over there.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm just going to get to bed. I got to go to work in the morning early.
All right, so y'all know what that means. It's time for final thoughts, man. Tony, I'm going to give you the floor. Let people know your overall thoughts. What kind of off season do you think the 49ers have had? What players do you think really need to take these 40 days and come in shape? Don't take this time off. Take this time to enjoy some family, but make sure you ramp it up maybe in the last 20 days. Do something right now with your family, but don't come in out of shape. I want to know what players you might have a little bit of concern with during this 40 days off for the 49ers, and then give us your final thoughts from there.
I like the off season. I think they had a successful off season. They had some key pieces to make another run. As far as the one guy you got to talk about is Debo, coming in tip-top shape. I would love to see him come in tip-top shape because I think we need a full, healthy, locked-in Debo this year to win a Super Bowl, along with everybody else on the roster. This team pretty much has bought in to the culture and the commitment to the 49ers. So other than like maybe him, I don't see a big concern about anybody else. I think Bosa is going to be doing his thing. I think Brock will be doing his thing. CMC will be doing his thing. Kittle does his thing. They're all locked in and committed. So I think they'll be all right. I think everyone's going to report. As far as Brandon Ayuk, I think this could go a long time. I don't think it's going to be settled quick. I do believe there is an offer on the table from the 49ers for Ayuk. Now, I don't know if Silver's 100% right with the number, but I do think the 49ers do have an offer on the table for him. I mean, I think they have to. They would have to do it if they want it, if they feel he's a piece moving forward. But I just don't. It would have been done by now if it was a fair offer. I think the $26 million, even though it's not confirmed, is a fair offer. But I mean, we'll see. Time will tell. It's the quiet time, the boring time, and July 26th it ramps back up.
Okay. I do want to ask you one more thing, and then I'll give you guys my final thoughts, but I want to get Tony's thoughts on this. Wayne and I did an episode where we were ranking the quarterbacks, trying to put them in order, projected starting quarterbacks from 1 to 32. I want to ask you about the top 17, and I want to know where you agree and disagree and who you would move around. And if you don't want to do all 17, maybe just do the top 10. I had it as Patrick Mahomes, number 1, Lamar Jackson, number 2, Josh Allen, number 3. Now, I want to say that this was something that Wayne and I did together. I would have had Josh Allen ahead of Lamar Jackson, but not Patrick Mahomes, just so you know. But 1, Patrick Mahomes, 2, Lamar Jackson, 3, Josh Allen, 4, Joe Burrow, 5, Jalen Hurts, 6, Justin Herbert, 7, Aaron Rodgers, 8, Brock Purdy, 9, CJ Stroud, 10, Dak Prescott, 11, Jared Goff, 12, Matt Stafford, 13, Kirk Cousins, 14, Jordan Love, 15, Tua Tagovailoa, 16, Kyler Murray, and 17, Russell Wilson.
What are you basing this off of?
Just how good I think they are as individual players. I'm not talking about team success or any of that.
I would do Mahomes. I would do Allen. I would do Burrow over Jackson. And who was number 4?
Well, I had Joe Burrow as 4, so you would swap Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
5, I had Jalen Hurts over Justin Herbert. I have my reasons for it. My reasons were that Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes. That guy damn near willed the Eagles. Like, the Eagles had so many drops. So did the Chiefs in that game. But I mean, he was running it, he was passing it, he was doing he was extending plays when the line let him down. Jalen Hurts was a man possessed in that Super Bowl, and that performance in the biggest stage of his young career, that does not leave my mind. I think that they need to get back to that kind of play for him, but that's why I had him that high. Then I had Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, Dak Prescott. Those rounded out my top 10.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of Jalen Hurts. I mean, I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's anywhere. Well, that's not my business. But I
think Justin Herbert's better than Jalen Hurts?
No, I don't think Justin. I think Justin Herbert's got a better arm than Jalen Hurts, but as a better quarterback, I wouldn't say no. I honestly,
you think Brock Purdy's better than Jalen Hurts?
I would take Purdy over Hurts.
Would you take Stroud over Hurts?
I would take Stroud over Hurts. What did Jalen Hurts do last year?
Stats?
Just off the top of your head, because I got to go because I'm half asleep. But like overall production, I mean, he didn't blow you away last year. I mean, I thought he looked average at best. Was he hurt? We don't. But
he finished the season with 3,800 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. But I mean, so not to, I don't. You're right? But those last 6 games after the Niners exposed him, I mean, he was basically on his own out there, and they weren't doing him any favors with the play calls. So I understand what you're saying there. So I get dropping him down because of last year's performance. Because I got Aaron Rodgers 7. If we're talking career and overall, cool. But this year, I think Aaron Rodgers bounces back a little bit, and he should be a top 10 quarterback this year. I'm looking at what they're going to be doing this year and their individual gifts.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I mean, I got to be honest with you. We could sit here and say that, but if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt in that NFC Championship game, I don't think Jalen Hurts is in the Super Bowl to do anything.
I agree with that.
So, I mean, he creates a lot with his legs. He creates a lot of plays, a lot of yardage, a lot of time with his legs. Purdy showed he could do it, but I just feel like a quarterback is a quarterback. A quarterback should, and that's why I dropped Jackson. Like, I don't like running quarterbacks. I like quarterbacks who could move. I like quarterbacks who could evade. I like quarterbacks who could scramble. I don't like the guys that are like, oh shit, yeah, pump, and let me just dart and just run down the field. That's why I wasn't a big fan of Kaepernick, because Kaepernick had a run. If that high-low read wasn't there, when Harbaugh would split the field, he would just run. Yeah, it worked for the 49ers, but the minute that shit was on film the following season, Harbaugh had to try to convert him to a pass-first quarterback, a pocket passer. And that's when Colin Kaepernick went meow. And another thing like I don't like about Lamar Jackson is he doesn't win in the playoffs. He doesn't win the big game to get to the big game. He doesn't win the game to get to the goal. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a good quarterback, Lamar Jackson. I think he's a great athlete. He has a cannon of an arm. But I just feel like watching him play the game, I feel like he misses the layups, but he'll make the stupid-ass crazy throws. Like, you're like, how the hell did he do that? So when I look at a quarterback, when I observe a quarterback, when I see a quarterback and I watch them, I look at the quarterback, the thrower of the quarterback first. I look at the game manager first. I look at the skill set, the IQ, the ability to break down a defense, to see a defense, to read a defense, to throw an to make anticipatory throws, to thread the needle. I look at shit like that, and if you're showing shit like that, you're a better quarterback than a person that's not showing that.
Yeah, it's about preference, absolutely. See, but like the thing that excited me about Brock Purdy was watching him scramble around a little bit, right? But that wasn't because the first read isn't there and I'm taking off. It was because the line broke down or the coverage was that good. I'm going to go ahead and make a play with my legs. That's the stuff that excited me. So I get it. It's about preference.
That's what you want. That's why I said you want the quarterback in the pocket first, and then if it's not there, he could break down and pick up 5-8 yards. But what I'm saying is, like, some of these quarterbacks, they drop back, they hit their back foot, they look, I'm out, bye, see ya, and they just sprint down the field like a maniac. Yeah, maybe he's more talented in his, like, with his running ability than Brock Purdy, meaning Lamar Jackson. Is he like look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen will stay in the pocket at the last minute, and then he just runs, and he runs good as a quarterback. But I feel a quarterback should be more of a pocket player first, than a runner. Your runner should be like your oh shit option. I need to pick up these 5 yards for the first down, or I need to pick up these 5 yards to put me in a better position to convert on the 3rd and short. That's the difference. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like, let me just run because I don't feel comfortable throwing this ball. But yeah, that's what I got. I got to hit the bed because I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Guys, man, we want to thank you all for your time. It's going to be a long season, but Nothing But Niners is going to be here. More shows coming to you guys exclusively on Patreon, and then they will make their way to the YouTube. So if you want them live and direct, make sure you guys get on over there to patreon.com/NB9ERS. And don't you guys worry at all. I can promise you this thing, right? You do not have to pay. The shows live will be for all subscribers. We even have a free tier. We even introduced a $1 tier, right? So there are bonus shows for all of those people who do pay for the different rates right there. All right, patreon.com/NB9ERS. We have exclusive shows throughout the year, throughout the off season and all that stuff. But the free people, make sure you guys head on over to patreon.com/NB9ERS. Just become a subscriber to the free tier, $1 tier, $5 tier, $10 tier, or $20 tier. They are all there, and you get all kinds of perks, bonus shows and all that stuff. And then they will, like I said, they will eventually make their way to the YouTube channel. That's going to do it for us tonight. Tony, I want to thank you for sticking with me, man. I know we went a little bit longer than what we expected, but a 2-hour show. This is what happens when I don't talk to you for 7 months on air, bro. Like, this is what happens, so we got to make this happen a little bit more often. I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here. And Sin says, and I quote, "I love your Patreon, Mike. Thank you so much, Sin, for the support. I really appreciate it." That's going to do it, guys. We're going to get up out of here. Prepare for glory, anticipate pain, but always remain faithful. We'll see y'all soon. Peace.
We all gas, no brakes, pumped up, no fakes. We spinning, we winning, we high stakes. We never miss, we all makes. Look at us dudes trying to prove, bringing you news with nothing to lose. Mike, Nick, Tony, Wayne, Method Man, we bring the pain. See, I'ma confess it. We under the pressure. If you looking to find us, we them nothing but Niners. Niners. We nothing but Niners. We nothing but Niners. We nothing but. We them nothing but Niners.